The following podcast may contain spoilers.
Hi, this is Seth and Kinney, and welcome to the Treading the Path of Heaven podcast. We are doing a special episode this week. We are recording live from Podcon.
Well, live to us.
Live to us, yeah. There's people here.
It'd be difficult for it to be live to you, although not really. We were offered to live stream this, but there's not really a way for us to have warned you in the past. So, oh well.
Anyway, this will be a kind of a shorter one, and also a special one because unlike always, I'm not joined by all of my co-hosts. I am Jonathan Kinney, the main host, and we also are joined by only
me, Seth Thompson. We're actually the only two that made it out to Podcon this year. Hopefully more people next year. But
that'd be fun.
There is a booth here, and so we're going to record a short episode about a book that I read.
Yeah, Seth-centric. You guys ready for this? It's the first one.
No, it's not. It's like the third one now.
Oh, well, centric.
Well, yeah, centric. That's fair. The book that I was reading was a suggestion from one of our listeners. Actually, it was one of our iTunes reviewers, but I can't. Oh, you know what? I can.
It's not going to be on the iTunes anymore since we switched our hosting.
Oh,
but
yeah. One of our iTunes reviewers
friend of the show,
suggested that we read Everyone Else is a Returnee. So I immediately picked it up and started looking through it, and there were a lot of aspects about it that I really appreciate. Like I like game systems. A very Korean book.
Okay, cool. Korean novel. Who's the author?
Let's see. Why am I looking at just this guy's? Wow, I got lots of information about Yul Han, the guy.
Well, that's good. Yeah. All right, well, forget the author for now. We'll get back to that. Give us a premise of the book. What's the main thing about?
So, normal college student is hanging out one day and goes outside and notices everything time-wise has stopped. So
are we talking like Persona 3 Midnight Channel, like everything's weird, or just everyone's just kind of time frozen?
I don't have that reference. Perhaps everyone's just frozen. Either way, no, actually everybody's gone.
Okay, everyone's gone.
There's nobody there anymore.
Just
the whole world has now been emptied. And he kind of just wanders around for a bit, wondering exactly what happened. He's like looking for his parents first, obviously. And then an angel shows up and explains to him, "Hey man, why are you here? You're not supposed to be here." Everyone else on Earth, you see, got taken to another world to train because there's this big cataclysm coming. Mm-hmm. And so we were preparing everyone on Earth by throwing them onto this other world. Some of them were going to die for sure, but, you know.
I'm so glad there are these kind gods that are so willing to train us up for coming cataclysms.
Oh yeah, man. When a cataclysm's coming, you got to be prepared. And if you have a god's like help behind you, might as well.
Kind in strong quotation marks here, given that almost always it's
not
training by slaughter. But
well, in this case, it's training by extreme loneliness because he's stuck on Earth.
So, all right. So, like with everyone else, do they give any information about?
So the angel just explains like their training. And he asks like, well, why didn't I get picked up? And God just didn't notice him.
Oh, that's got to be rough. Like,
yeah, he's
one of those characters that's always in the background.
He is a notable unknown. Like he's just fades wherever he is. If you're not looking directly at him, you don't know where he is.
All right.
So God misses him, and he's just stuck on Earth by himself. But there is this angel lady that has come to be like, to clean up, as it were, and saw him and was like, "Ooh, we fucked up. So we're gonna do what we can to hide this. And you know what? You and me, let's just hang out."
Okay.
So he gets taken around the Earth and ends up doing like different kinds of training. So he learns how to like be the best bladesmith.
So, Just by him like reading books, or
Yeah, no, he goes to all the libraries and reads all the books. Like, so
does he just have? Oh yeah, time stops, so he's not aging or anything. So he's just having a Groundhog's Day-esque training montage.
Nobody said anything to him, and he kind of lost track of time. But it happened over the course of millennia, and he thinks maybe 100 years have passed, perhaps, but it's happened over far, far longer. And so he's got all these like skills that he's been training up for years and years. And then so okay, he walks across the world. Like, he walks to where he's going most of the time. He steals a ship once to get over to the United States so he can get to some libraries there.
Okay.
But he absorbs everything there is to be absorbed on Earth. Like, he's not the end all be all perfect dude, but he's got skills that you can just gain with time and knowledge.
Okay.
Because that's all he's got, time and knowledge.
So at the point you had read to, was there had the returnee parts had people started returning?
So he's back home and is perfecting some stuff, and the angel notes to him like, "Hey man, they're coming back soon. If you want to get ready, got like a day. They're coming back." So he goes back to his house and is just kind of waiting when his parents show up. His mom and dad were also in the other world, and they came back fine. His dad probably was not the best. It's hinted at multiple times that like his mom was an ass kicker, but his dad just
was along for the ride.
Yeah, he was just kind of there. I actually think they got put on different worlds because people got scattered. So like they got thrown to different subsets or whatever, and so they didn't really have an interaction for the. I think they were gone for maybe 2 years. Was what they felt.
Okay. So he got way more time training than anyone else.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what everybody's come back with is like magic skills.
Okay, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and he does not have magic skills. He didn't go.
Well, yeah,
the magic place. So why would he have magic skills? Like, so part of the comedy of this book is him trying to hide the fact that he doesn't actually have any magic.
So by just being real good at things?
By just being a beast. So he'll like punch something real hard and they'll be like, "Wow, what spell was that?" And he's like,
"Punch."
Yeah.
Don't you know the punch spell?
The punch spell. "I'm not familiar with that one." "Well, I learned it in the planet that I was on." "Well, what planet was that?" "I've met a couple people from a couple different planets."
Oh, that's interesting. They were all sent to like kind of different places.
Yeah, they were. Okay, so they come back. Governments start arranging people, as they do. Governments start claiming the strongest people.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
absolutely.
The strongest Korean dude is.
As soon as they're superhumans, that's what defense spending becomes about.
For sure. Goodness. Hang on. Kim Il-han, or Yu Il-han, ends up like just showing up where there are things happening and just destroying, and then leaving before he can get any of the rewards. Sometimes, like on the second one and third one, he'll like stay around and butcher them because he got really good at butchery too. All the animals were still there.
All right, I just assume he's got like max skill and all the craftsmen and everything.
He's ridiculous. People that have been around these creatures for the 2 years or whatever that they were on the other planet,
mm-hmm.
They don't know how to butcher them as well as he does to like get all the mats essentially. That
so he just gets more drops than everyone.
He gets crazy drops, and he gets such strong stuff because he knows like, oh, this acts exactly like a turtle shell does. I know exactly where to cut, and like pulls it off. Done.
Okay.
Makes himself some new armor.
That's fun. So you mentioned towards the beginning that this has a game system. How does that play? Is it more focused on the returnees, or does he have a game system that activates when time freezes?
No, he is outside of the game system.
Oh, okay. That's actually really interesting. I was wondering. Oops.
Everyone else has it. It's just him that is like brute forcing his way through the game. Essentially, it's not a game; it's the Earth. But like he's brute forcing his way through it at this point. He's just such a fascinating like maybe not. Maybe he's just a little, like, from what I have read, maybe he's just a little, like, base level, a little shallow. But from what I have read, like, he really loves his mom. Like,
yeah. What's his character? Is he angry about this experience? Is he just kind of?
He's pretty chill, honestly. He doesn't want to be recognized. The first time he goes out and just kicks ass, he puts on an Iron Man mask and just like beats the hell out of everybody and then leaves. And so like state television has started calling him like the Iron Man of his area or whatever. And then he can run real fast, like just assume he's great at all the stuff. So they started calling him Sungdane Bolt. Like Usain Bolt. Sungdane was the college that he was going to.
Okay.
So he's like gets frustrated every time he hears it, because like that's not the name he picked, and he had an Iron Man mask on. Why'd they pick that name? Like frustrating. It's just it.
That sounds like it's kind of typical Korean web novel humor in terms of the frustration being about misunderstandings,
not getting called what you want to get called.
Yeah, just like frustrations about like names not being right, or like a giant misunderstandings between like the main character who thinks he's doing one thing and how everyone else in the world, he's just oblivious to the fact that everyone else in the world sees it a different way.
Yeah. He's the only one who sees it in his very cool way. Like,
that being said, in this particular case, it sounds like it's a little bit more justified, given that he is legitimately in a different situation than most of the other people.
He is. He doesn't have the magic skill to be able to survive in most situations, so he just powers through it. And what's honestly impressive is that people that were like notable in the other world. There's this lady that they simply refer to as Empress. Mm-hmm. That is she was an ass kicker in the other world, and when she came back, the Korean government immediately recognized her as like top 3. You're one of them. You need to stay in Korea so you can fight against these waves when they come.
Yeah.
Like it's you cannot leave. And then she goes to LA, like, because that's you do what you're gonna do.
Probably offered her a better deal.
Honestly, I think she was there for something else. But our main character ends up in LA because he hears that there like a gate is opening, or it's a dungeon that's opening there, like a cataclysm wave kind of thing.
Yeah. It sounds similar to kind of the Earth part of Soul Station Necromancer.
Yeah, no, it does. So he goes to stop this gate because he's got this angel lady that was with him the whole time.
Oh, that's cool.
The entire, like, the whole millennia that he was stuck on Earth, and now that everything's back to regular time, she's gone, and it's freaking him out a little. Like, he's had this one guiding hand behind him for millennia, and now she's just disappeared and is replaced by a smaller, more annoying angel that is not. So the Rita or whatever, his angel friend that helped him for the millennia, she kind of maybe fell in love with him, and maybe the other way around too. And then immediately she like got plucked off of Earth and got another person put in there, and he's just frustrated that the person next to him isn't the person that he wants to be next to him.
Okay.
And it's a little angel that shrinks herself down to a small size and hangs out on his head. She's just kind of a dick. Like, it's entertaining. That's one of the fun character dynamics.
Okay, so compared to some of the other Korean novels we've reviewed on the show, what really lets this one stand out? What's different about this one?
I would say, all of the books we read, it seems like the MC has some kind of overarching difficulty, and I just the way our MC's like difficulty is presented in this book is such a position of weakness, but similar. Like it is two things simultaneously. He is the strongest person on Earth and the weakest person on Earth. Mm-hmm. Like, he can beat the crap out of anybody, but if somebody were to cast a spell on him, he's done. Like, the most he can do is set up magic defense. And he has been, where I am in the book, has been begging begging them to give him the ability to work with mana, but they're afraid that it's just going to make him explode. Because, like, that's... You know, you go to the other planet and you strength train there. Like
it makes sense. No one on Earth has currently developed magic, so there's probably some issue with it.
They're very afraid that it's just going to make him explode. So they instead have been giving him just like little treats and like little gear bonuses, and they can do a thing. The angels is who I say when I mean they. They can make a magic item like to the nth power stronger just kind of by putting a bead on it or whatever, and no one on Earth, they're power cores from
it's Dungeons and Dragons +1 enhancement.
Yeah,
I get
the
it.
Standard. But they're essentially laying like a +3 on, and nobody else on Earth can really do that. Also, he's a master craftsman, so by default, all the stuff he makes is like at a +1.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. But he's a tortured person. Like he very much
seems to be a pretty common theme in Korean novels. That has to do with kind of the general feel of the issues that the Korean people have with their own culture.
It's fair. It's not. See, like I don't have as much of a Korean book like background to lean back onto. So
it's just the themes in them tend to be a lot more depressing. Not like, and not to say they don't overcome them. There's usually an arc where there is a depression and the people succeed, and then like that gets overturned because they worked hard.
Sure.
Which I mean, like I get that. That's a really good moral, and I think that fits in pretty well with American writing as well. But it's just so frequent that you run into situations where it's like, you know, the main character is in crippling debt from a situation out of his control.
Sure.
He inherited the debt, and because the grandmother who was taking care of them is enfeebled, they're not able to go sign off the debt, so they inherit the family debt. Like, just like all sorts of these like random situations where people take advantage of the main character and all these things to make them distrusting, and then that builds their personality.
Well, a millennia of being alone will drive you insane and also make you like just a ruined person.
I mean, yeah, like solitary is usually only
so
it's usually like, measured in days or months, not
exactly.
So because we understand the health risks of that, so I can only imagine that must have seriously scarred him.
His parents notice, but don't. His parents have noticed, but aren't completely concerned. It would seem his mom knows that something's up.
Well, I'm sure for them they were concerned that he was gone or wasn't, you know, sent out.
Yeah, they just wanted to make sure he didn't die, like somewhere else.
I'm sure seeing him back there was a relief at some level.
So just to cap off where I am in the book, so you guys can know how far I got.
All right.
It's not really that far, you guys. It's like 85 chapters, maybe. At the last chapter I was reading, the MC was trying to convince the angels to send him to an off-world dungeon because it would make him stronger, and there's a lot of stuff he can fight there, and like he needs the power cores to make better stuff. He really likes he's made these slingshot weapons that are essentially there's a specific name for them that I can't remember now, but it's like a almost like a railgun, but for slingshots, and it's intended for you to put it on something and then railgun into it. So it's like a breaker, like
okay,
yeah, like an armor breaker.
Like a piston, or I know what you're talking about,
yeah.
like the attack that Big O used.
Yes, exactly. It is. It's one of those that he is just
pile driver.
Yes, a pile driver. That is exactly what it is. He is embarrassing very high level monsters by just walking up and pile driving them in the face, and it's very entertaining. So he's just a guy who's good at all the stuff. I know that describes a lot of MCs.
Well, it does, but honestly, it sounds like he's got a lot of a wider base than most do. The typical Korean MCs tend to have like a thing that they're really good at, i.e. Legendary Moonlight Sculptor or Overgeared, where they have one talent. They're good. Well, they're either good at the thing they're doing or they become good from the things around them. But like for an Overgeared, for instance, the main character is a blacksmith, and so everything that he does, although he's good at basically everything because he builds items to make himself good at everything, it all ties back to his blacksmithing ability. For Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, you know, everything is, all of his opportunities and all the things he gains are birthed out of the things he does sculpting. So it sounds like in his case, I mean, there's kind of bladesmithing, which sounds like it's maybe doing a bigger part than some of the other ones, but it sounds like he has a much wider base of skills than a lot of the typical Korean main characters.
Essentially, anything that he could learn, he did. So, like, he does have the widest possible base of skills, and now he's just got to stack these, like, very specific fighting particular monsters things on top of them.
Now, I'm probably going to have to try and pick this one up, because I'm really fascinated by this concept of the maximum potential of the extant skills on Earth, like taking the abilities of ignoring mana, ignoring angels and all those things, and taking just the things that we already have the ability to do as humans, and imagining how it would actually stack up against people that had magic powers.
For sure.
It's like if we were executing perfectly, could Earth take on a world with magic?
He's got plenty of opportunities. He doesn't fight other magic users directly, but he fights alongside of them, and with the way they are astounded at shit that he does, I am sure that he could take them. I haven't seen any direct fights yet, but I'm sure that they will be interesting when they happen.
I know it's weird to say with a written media, but the reading about the shocked faces of people as they look at the main character's absurd achievements,
their jaw dropped.
The writing that's necessary to like set that up, and just the exposition to draw that one moment where the jaw drops is just one of the most satisfying parts of reading these translated novels to me.
I'm glad that I want to know who suggested it. I'm glad that whoever suggested this did, because it was actually very much up my alley. You kind of have the idea of who I am pretty well down, listeners.
Yeah, it was, I believe, suggested pretty much for Seth. So.
It was Full Plate Jacket. Our good supporter man, Full Plate Jacket.
Thanks, Full Plate Jacket.
Thanks, Full Plate. Well, this was our fun live episode.
Yeah, we're going to kind of start wrapping it up so that other people can use the recording space. We'd like to have a big thank you to Live U for letting us use the recording space and setting everything up.
Yeah, man, this was a very cool opportunity that we would not have had otherwise. So, very much appreciated.
If you enjoyed our review of this, please feel free to check out our other episodes. We've got a lot of books that we've talked about, covering Chinese, Japanese, and Korean translated novels. We've got more books to talk about, too. And we have a lot more coming. If you'd like to reach us, you can reach out to us over Gmail or Twitter. Our Gmail is tiger.rollercoaster@gmail.com, and our Twitter is tigercoaster. So, feel free to reach out. We're always happy to hear from you guys. Yeah, but otherwise, we really appreciate all the support you've got. We've been a little sparse on episodes lately, but we're working on changing that very hard. Oh yeah, that's a big change. You will see it. Trust me on that. But otherwise, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great night. Woo woo.
Tiger Rollercoaster Productions. Tigers are scary. You try to get off.